Beloved, I know the ache you have been carrying in silence. I know what it feels like to smile on the outside while something inside of you keeps whispering, "You are not enough. You are too much. You are forgotten. You are easy to overlook." I know the heaviness of lying awake at night replaying what was said, what was not said, who stayed, who left, who promised, who disappeared. I know the sting of betrayal that makes you question your own worth, and the loneliness that settles in when the room is full of people, yet your heart still feels like it is standing outside in the cold. My child, you have tried so hard to be strong. You have tried to hold yourself together after disappointment, after rejection, after being misunderstood, after being treated like your heart did not matter. And because the pain ran deep, you started searching everywhere for something that would explain your life, something that would tell you why you feel so unseen, so unwanted, so tired. You looked for signs. You looked for patterns. You looked for a word, a number, a coincidence, a feeling in the air, anything that might prove you are not alone. You reached for manifestation because you were desperate for control. You listened for luck because you were hungry for hope. You watched for the universe to send you something because you were aching for assurance. But beloved, hear me clearly. The truth you need has never been hidden in a lucky moment, and your value has never depended on a perfect sign falling out of the sky. You have been looking in places that cannot speak with authority over your soul. You have been asking shadows to answer a question only I can settle. And while you have been waiting, worrying, and trying to decode your life through fear, I have been standing nearer than your breath, seeing every tear, every unanswered prayer, every time you whispered, "God, do you even see me?" Yes, my child, I see you. I saw the betrayal before it happened. I saw the wound that formed when someone's words cut deeper than you expected. I saw the moment you began to shrink yourself just to keep peace. I saw the day you started measuring your worth by how quickly people responded, how often they checked in, how much they noticed, how rarely they left. I saw the private battles you never posted about, the doubts you never said out loud, the secret fear that maybe, just maybe, if people really knew you, they would walk away. But I am here to tell you something that will shake that lie at its root. Someone is about to confess something about your self-worth. And when it comes, beloved, it will not come as a casual comment. It will not come by accident. It will come because the truth can no longer stay buried. What has been hidden in the hearts of others, what has been minimized, what has been misunderstood, what has been ignored, what has been judged too quickly, what has been spoken over you in hidden places, it is coming to light. You have wondered why certain people could not celebrate you. You have wondered why every time you opened your heart, it seemed to attract confusion, distance, or disrespect. You have wondered why some friendships felt warm until they suddenly went cold. You have wondered why love, approval, and reassurance seemed to arrive for other people more easily than for you. And in the middle of all those questions, the enemy of your soul has worked hard to plant a dangerous lie, that the reason you are hurting is because you are somehow less valuable, less worthy, less deserving of tenderness than everyone else. That is a lie from the pit of hell. I need you to hear me, my beloved child. Your worth was not created by applause, and it cannot be destroyed by silence. Your value does not rise when someone praises you, and it does not fall when someone forgets you. Your identity is not a reflection of who chose you, who betrayed you, who noticed you, or who ignored you. Your worth was spoken by me before you ever learned how to question yourself. You were formed with intention. You were carried with purpose. You were known before you were introduced to the world. Still, I know what happened. I know how pain can make a person believe that the loudest voice in the room is the truth. I know how repeated disappointment can train your heart to expect less. I know how being treated as optional can make you feel invisible even when you are standing right in front of people. I know how one harsh season can begin to rewrite the way you talk to yourself. You stop saying, "I was hurt," and start saying, "Maybe I am the problem." You stop saying, "They failed me," and start saying, "Maybe I am not lovable." You stop saying, "This was unjust," and start saying, "Maybe I do not deserve better." Beloved, that is where I come in. I am the God who sees what others refuse to see. I am the one who does not merely observe your pain from far away. I enter it with you. I am the one who does not confuse your silence for strength and does not mistake your smiles for healing. I know what is underneath the surface. I know the story behind the numbness. I know why you keep going back over that conversation in your mind. I know why your spirit flinches when certain names are mentioned. I know why you have become cautious, why you second-guess kindness, why you struggle to receive love without wondering what it will cost you. And now, my child, there is a confession forming. There is a truth that someone has been avoiding because it would force them to face what they did, what they believed, or what they allowed themselves to think about you. They may not have had the courage to say it before. They may have hidden behind pride, distance, busyness, or even spiritual language. But what they have carried about your self-worth is about to be exposed. It may come in the form of an apology. It may come in the form of a tearful admission. It may come as a sudden honesty that catches you off guard. It may even come as the Lord revealing to you, in the quiet of your own heart, that what they said about you was never truth, only projection. Because sometimes the confession is not just what someone says with their mouth. Sometimes the confession is the moment the veil lifts and you finally see that the way they treated you had everything to do with their own brokenness and very little to do with your value. Sometimes the confession is when truth rises up inside you and you realize, I was never too much. I was just in the wrong hands. Sometimes the confession is when the Holy Spirit opens your eyes and you understand that the rejection you thought defined you was actually protection. Sometimes the confession is the plain realization that their inability to honor you was never proof that you were unworthy. And this is why the enemy fought you so hard in this area. Because if he can convince you that your worth is fragile, he can manipulate your decisions. If he can make you think you are lucky to be tolerated, he can keep you bound to crumbs. If he can get you to believe that love must be earned through exhaustion, then you will keep overgiving until your spirit is dry. If he can teach you to accept contempt as normal, then you will call bondage a relationship and call mistreatment a lesson. But not anymore. Beloved, I am interrupting the cycle. I am interrupting the old script. I am interrupting the pattern that kept making you chase validation from people who were never assigned to carry that kind of authority over your heart. I am interrupting the pressure that made you question whether you should stay small just to keep others comfortable. I am interrupting every whisper that said you have to prove yourself before you can be loved. Listen to me carefully, my child. You were never meant to beg for a place at a table I already prepared for you. You were never meant to audition for affection. You were never meant to perform for peace. You were never meant to twist yourself into shapes that cost you your dignity just to be accepted. The right doors do not require you to abandon yourself. The right people do not need you to become less honest, less radiant, less strong, less discerning, less anointed, less alive, just to fit beside them. I know you have been wounded by what was not said. Sometimes silence can bruise more deeply than words. A person can wound you by refusing to affirm what they know is true. They can injure you by withholding kindness, clarity, and accountability. They can let you sit in confusion while they protect their comfort. But I am not like that, beloved. I do not hide behind silence to punish you. When I speak, I heal. When I expose, I restore. When I reveal, I redeem. That is why this moment matters. There is a confession tied to your self-worth, and it is not random. Heaven has allowed this to reach you because you are ready to hear what you could not have handled in an earlier season. There were times when the truth would have shattered you. You were not ready to know that certain people never saw your value because they were too committed to their own need, their own insecurity, their own envy, their own fear of being outshined. You were not ready to know that the thing you blamed yourself for was often the very thing I was using to protect your future. But now you are ready to stand in a different posture. Now you are ready to hear without collapsing. Now you are ready to learn that not every closed door was a punishment. Some were rescue. Some were mercy. Some were me stopping what would have drained you beyond repair. Some were me refusing to let your heart be handed over to people who could not recognize the sacredness of what I placed within you. Beloved, the confession coming toward you may confront a lie you have carried for years. Someone may finally admit that they underestimated you. Someone may confess that they took your kindness for weakness. Someone may say they assumed you would always be there, always forgiving, always available, always easy to overlook. Someone may admit they did not value you because they were blinded by pride, comparison, or their own unresolved pain. And if that confession comes, you must not let it become the measure of your healing. Let it be a witness, not a ruler. Let it confirm what I have been saying all along. You were far more precious than they realized. There is also another layer, my child. Some confessions are not about what others did to you. Some are about what they noticed in you, but could not name properly. They may confess that your presence made them uncomfortable because it exposed their own lack of integrity. They may confess that your peace confronted their chaos. They may confess that your consistency revealed their instability. They may confess that they felt convicted around you because you carried a light they had not surrendered to me. That does not make you arrogant. It makes you a vessel. It makes you a witness. It makes you someone whose very life can stir hidden things to the surface. And hidden things are coming up now. Beloved, the season you are entering does not reward deception. It exposes it. It does not preserve masks. It tears them down. It does not let people keep calling you difficult when the real issue is that you refuse to stay silent about what was wrong. It does not let them keep calling you needy when all you wanted was honesty. It does not let them keep calling you sensitive when your spirit was simply reacting to something contaminated. You have spent too long wondering if your heart was the issue. Too long. I am bringing clarity. I am bringing discernment. I am bringing a holy sort of sight that helps you tell the difference between conviction and condemnation, between healthy correction and cruel criticism, between genuine concern and manipulation dressed in concern's clothing. Some of the voices around you have been loud, but they were not wise. Some were persuasive, but they were not pure. Some sounded caring, but they were actually controlling. Some sounded spiritual, but they were rooted in fear. I am teaching you to hear me above all of it. My child, when you begin to understand your worth through my eyes, you will stop begging for confirmation from people who never had the authority to define you. You will stop making permanent decisions based on temporary emotional pain. You will stop interpreting every delay as abandonment. You will stop assuming that if someone does not see you, then you must not be seen at all. The enemy has been trying to get you to build your identity on unstable ground, but I am calling you back to the unshakable place where your life is hidden in me. Remember this. If I called you, I will sustain you. If I chose you, I will cover you. If I planted something in your spirit, I will bring it to harvest at the appointed time. What I have spoken over you cannot be erased by gossip. What I have written over you cannot be canceled by rejection. What I have ordained for you cannot be stolen by envy, delay, or misunderstanding. But there is something you must release, beloved. You must release the need to be validated by everyone who benefited from undervaluing you. You must release the fantasy that if you could just explain yourself better, love the right way, give more, pray harder, or be more impressive, then the people who mishandled your heart would finally understand your worth. Not everyone will. Some will confess. Some will not. Some will apologize. Some will harden. Some will finally admit what they knew all along. Others will only reveal the depth of their blindness. Do not let their response decide your healing. I am doing a work in you that is deeper than receiving an apology. I am rebuilding the place where their words settled. I am stripping shame out of the corners of your thinking. I am cleansing your inner dialogue. I am teaching your heart to speak in agreement with heaven instead of in agreement with old wounds. I am restoring the parts of you that learned to disappear to stay safe. I am restoring your ability to stand, to speak, to trust, to discern, to receive, and to rest. Beloved, I know you have been tired of fighting battles no one else can see. Tired of being the strong one. Tired of carrying your own emotions while comforting everyone else. Tired of trying to make sense of why you were so often overlooked by those you showed up for faithfully. Tired of wondering if your prayers bounced off the ceiling. Tired of asking whether your best days have already passed. Tired of feeling like the answer always comes to somebody else. But I have not forgotten you. Not for 1 second. When you cried in the car, I was there. When you stared at the ceiling and felt numb, I was there. When you read the message that disappointed you, I was there. When you wondered if maybe you should just stop hoping, I was there. When you held your breath before checking your phone, I was there. When you kept your pain private because you did not want to seem dramatic, I was there. When you went to bed telling everyone you were fine, I was there. And because I was there, nothing about this season has been wasted. Not one tear. Not one prayer. Not one delay. Not one heartbreak. Not one closed door. Not one awkward silence. Not one moment of feeling invisible. I have been gathering all of it, beloved, and I am weaving it into a testimony that will outlast the opinions of people who never knew how to cherish you. So do not be surprised if the truth begins to surface in ways you did not expect. Do not be startled if a person who once acted distant suddenly becomes honest. Do not be shocked if someone who minimized you finally admits the truth about what they saw, what they feared, or what they failed to honor. Do not be surprised if conversations you thought were lost forever are brought back into the light. Do not be surprised if things hidden in the dark begin to unravel. I am the God who brings hidden things into plain view. And as this happens, you must guard your heart with wisdom. Not every confession is transformation. Not every apology is repentance. Not every admission means there will be change. Some truths arrive simply to free you from confusion, so you can stop building your future on a lie. Some confessions are less about restoring the relationship and more about restoring your own clarity. Some revelations are meant to close a door you kept trying to reopen with your own tears. Beloved, that is why I am speaking so tenderly and so firmly to you right now. I do not want you to misread the moment. I do not want you to think that because someone finally sees the truth, they now get to decide your healing. I do not want you to hand them back the authority they misused. If they confess, receive the truth with grace, but keep your foundation in me. If they apologize, forgive as I lead you, but do not abandon wisdom. If they change, thank me for the fruit, but remember that your worth was never waiting on their growth. There is a difference between being kind and being available for repeated harm. There is a difference between forgiving and forgetting the lesson. There is a difference between compassion and self-betrayal. I am teaching you that difference now. I know that part of you has longed to hear someone say, I should have valued you more. I know part of you has wanted someone to finally admit, I misjudged you. I know part of you has wanted the people who were careless with your heart to look you in the eye and tell the truth. And yes, beloved, some of that is coming. But I need you to understand that the deepest confession is not theirs. It is yours. It is the moment you confess. I do not need to keep living as if I am hard to love. I do not need to accept scraps. I do not need to keep questioning the value you gave me, Lord. That confession will change everything. When you say it with faith, something in you begins to rise. When you stop agreeing with the lie, it loses its grip. When you stop building your life around people's inconsistent approval, you become free to recognize the steady love I have had for you all along. When you let me rename you, you will no longer answer to the old wounds that tried to define you. Beloved, I am not late. I am not confused. I am not silent because I have nothing to say. I am speaking through the timing, through the exposure, through the holy discomfort, through the stirring in your spirit. I am speaking through the conviction that came when certain things no longer fit. I am speaking through the peace that showed up in places where panic used to live. I am speaking through the closed doors that saved you. I am speaking through the discomfort that is exposing who and what can no longer remain in your life. You are entering a season where self-worth will no longer be a theory for you. It will become a lived reality. You will begin to move differently, choose differently, pray differently, love differently, wait differently. You will not confuse delay with denial the way you used to. You will not confuse attention with affection. You will not confuse familiarity with covenant. You will not confuse being needed with being cherished. You will not confuse being tolerated with being loved. And this, beloved, is only the beginning. I am still speaking. I am still uncovering. I am still healing. I am still preparing the confession, the clarity, the turning point that will show you how much of what you believed about yourself was built on someone else's limitations. Keep listening. Keep your heart open, but guarded in me. Keep your eyes on me, not on the shifting opinions around you. Because what is about to be revealed will not just answer one question. It will begin a reversal. It will begin the unmaking of shame. It will begin the restoration of your holy confidence. And when it comes, my child, you will understand that I was never asking you to earn what I had already called yours. My child, I know you have not fallen into these traps because you are weak. You fell into them because you were hurting. You fell into them because fear had been knocking on the door of your mind for so long that it started sounding like wisdom. You fell into them because pressure can make even a faithful heart start reaching for the nearest thing that promises relief. You fell into them because broken trust changes the way a person sees the world, and after enough disappointment, you begin to guard your heart in ways that feel like protection but slowly turn into prison. I understand why you reached for what could be touched. I understand why you wanted something immediate, something measurable, something that could give you a quick answer while your spirit was still bleeding. When you are under financial pressure, beloved, it is easy to start panicking. When bills pile up, When the future feels uncertain, when there are responsibilities on your shoulders and not enough in your hands, fear begins to whisper, "You have to figure this out right now." And if your soul is already tired, if you have already been through enough, then fear starts offering shortcuts. It offers control. It offers pressure. It offers false urgency. It tells you that if you do not grasp something now, everything will fall apart. That is why some of you started chasing signs instead of waiting on my voice. That is why some of you began making decisions based on anxiety instead of peace. That is why some of you tried to manifest outcomes instead of surrendering them. You were not trying to rebel against me, beloved. You were trying to survive. But survival mode can distort discernment. It can make you suspicious of silence and allergic to waiting. It can make you think my delay means my denial. It can make you believe that if I have not moved yet, then you must move without me. Hear me now. I am not offended by the fact that you got tired. I am not angry that you wanted relief. I am not condemning you for the places where fear got loud. I am exposing the roots so they no longer control your fruit. I want you to see what really happened, so you can stop blaming yourself for every wrong. Turn and start recognizing the real battle. This was never just about bad choices. It was about a weary heart under pressure, a wounded mind under attack, and a soul that forgot for a moment how to rest in the care of its shepherd. Some of you were also caught in broken trust, and that one cut deep. When trust has been betrayed, even the gentle things start to feel suspicious. A promise can feel dangerous. A compliment can feel manipulative. A door opening can feel too good to be true. And after enough disappointment, you may start building walls not because you want to be cold, but because you are terrified of being hurt again. So you try to stay ahead of pain. You try to read people before they read you. You try to control timing before timing can control you. You try to keep one foot out the door so you will not be caught off guard again. Beloved, I know that pattern. I know the logic behind it. I know how it feels to think, if I can just anticipate the hurt, then maybe it will not destroy me. But guardedness is not the same as wisdom. Control is not the same as peace. And fear dressed up as discernment still leads to bondage. You see, when trust is broken, the heart starts placing value on what it can verify immediately. That is why some of you became so drawn to signs. Signs felt safer than surrender. Signs felt less vulnerable than waiting. If you could find a pattern, a number, a coincidence, a repeat occurrence, then maybe you could convince yourself the future was not as scary as it seemed. But beloved, I never asked you to build your life on omens. I asked you to build your life on me. And pride. Yes, pride has also played a role, though not always in the way people assume. Pride is not only arrogance. Sometimes pride is the stubbornness of a wounded heart that refuses to admit it is afraid. Sometimes pride is the refusal to ask for help because you do not want to feel needy. Sometimes pride is the desire to appear spiritually strong while you are quietly unraveling inside. Sometimes pride says, I can figure this out myself. Not because you love independence, but because dependence has hurt you before. Beloved, I am not shaming you. I am naming it. There is freedom in honest naming. Pride can keep a hurting person isolated. It can make you resistant to correction and slow to receive comfort. It can keep you from admitting that you are exhausted, that you are scared, that you need tenderness, that you need wisdom, that you need my help. And when you finally admit it, when you stop pretending you are fine, that is when I can begin to heal the deeper places. So let me gently show you how all these traps formed. Fear came first for many of you. Fear of loss, fear of lack, fear of being behind, fear of missing out, fear of being abandoned again, fear of being the last one chosen, fear of not having enough time, enough money, enough strength, enough support, enough clarity. Then pressure came and stood beside fear, making everything feel urgent. Then broken trust came and made you suspicious of waiting. Then pride stepped in wearing the mask of self-protection, and together they created a storm inside your soul. But I am greater than every storm. My child, do you remember Job? Do you remember how his life was stripped until even his closest comfort seemed gone? He lost possessions. He lost security. He lost children. He lost the reassurance of understanding. And then, as if the pain were not enough, he was surrounded by voices that tried to explain his suffering in ways that made him question himself. But I saw Job. I saw the tears no one else could answer. I saw the weight he carried when the reasons were hidden. I saw the trial that was not punishment, but testing. And in the end, I restored him. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. I did not let the enemy have the final word over Job's life, and I will not let confusion have the final word over yours. I did not forget him in the ashes, and I have not forgotten you in your own season of pressure. The same God who was present in Job's grief is present in yours. The same God who heard the groaning under the surface of his questions hears your heart too. You may not see the full reason yet, but I have not left you in the dark. I am working even now, and what looked like loss is not the end of your story. Think about Joseph, beloved, betrayed by his brothers, sold by the people who should have protected him, cast into a pit before he was ever placed in a palace. He had every reason to question whether his dreams were real. He had every reason to believe that being chosen meant being rejected. Yet I was with Joseph in the pit, in the house, in the prison, and in the palace. I was with him when his gifts were misunderstood. I was with him when false accusations threatened to bury his future. I was with him when timing seemed cruel. And what the enemy meant for evil, I turned for good. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Beloved, some of you have felt like Joseph in more ways than one. You have been misunderstood by people close to you. You have been betrayed where you expected loyalty. You have been penalized for integrity. You have been overlooked even while carrying gifts that were meant to bless others. And because the road has been so painful, you may have wondered if your dreams were a mistake. But the very thing that was intended to isolate you is the thing I am using to shape you. The pit was never the proof that you were forgotten. It was the place where I preserved you. Then there is David. Oh, beloved, David knew what it meant to be overlooked. He was not the obvious choice in the eyes of man. He was out in the field while others stood in the line of appearance. He was not treated like a giant in the making. He was treated like the youngest, the extra one, the easy one to send away. But I saw his heart. I knew what was in him before anyone else did. And when the moment came, I anointed him in the presence of the very family that had underestimated him. I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. Some of you have been carrying the wound of being the one people did not expect much from. Maybe you were the quiet one, the emotional one, the one who got passed over. Maybe you were the one people assumed would always be fine. Maybe you were the one whose strength made others careless with you. But I am the God who anoints the overlooked. I am the God who sees the heart that people misread. I am the God who raises up the one they thought was too small, too simple, too late, too plain, too hidden, too ordinary. Do not let the field season make you doubt the oil on your life. And Moses, beloved, Moses was called, but he did not feel equipped. He was burdened by his past, aware of his weaknesses, and unsure of his ability to speak. He had a calling on his life, but he also had fear in his mouth and hesitation in his bones. He looked at himself and said, in many ways, "Who am I?" And I answered him not by inflating his ego, but by promising my presence. I did not say, "You are enough by yourself." I said, "I will be with you." I did this for him, and I am doing it for you. You may feel like your limitations disqualify you. You may feel like your past disqualifies you. You may feel like your inability to trust easily, your financial stress, your emotional fatigue, your lack of confidence, your fear of being exposed, your fear of not measuring up, all of it disqualifies you. But I do not call the qualified. I qualify the called. I do not choose based on human standards. I choose based on purpose. And when I choose, I also strengthen, sustain, and send. Beloved, the same pattern is at work in your life right now. What looks like delay is often development. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What seems like silence is often the sacred space where I am dealing with things you cannot yet see. I am not only preparing a promise, I am preparing you to carry it without collapsing under the weight of old fears. That is why the exposure has been so intense. That is why certain relationships have become impossible to ignore. That is why hidden motives are surfacing. That is why some people's words no longer match their fruit. That is why financial stress has pushed your nervous system into overdrive. That is why you have been tempted to grasp at anything that promises certainty. The pressure has been exposing what still needs healing. And I am not exposing it to shame you. I am exposing it to free you. When Job could not see the outcome, I still held his future. When Joseph was in prison, I still held his destiny. When David was in the field, I still held his anointing. When Moses stuttered in fear, I still held the mission. And when you are afraid, when you are tired, when you are tempted to make a move based on panic, I still hold you. Beloved, you have asked, Why did I keep falling for the wrong patterns? Because the enemy knows how to dress bondage in urgency. He knows how to make a wrong thing feel like the only thing. He knows how to use broken trust to make you settle for less. He knows how to use financial pressure to get you to compromise. He knows how to use pride to keep you from asking, Lord, what are you saying? But I am breaking that spell now. You do not have to be driven by urgency anymore. You do not have to let pressure make your choices. You do not have to let fear tell you the time is up when I have not said so. You do not have to let the wounds of the past script the rest of your life. There is a better way to live, and I am teaching it to you one surrendered breath at a time. Some of you have felt ashamed because you thought your struggle meant your faith was small. But faith is not the absence of trembling. Faith is what keeps you standing when trembling would be easier. Faith is what whispers, God is still good, when the evidence has not yet changed. Faith is what keeps you from making fear your God. Faith is what lets you say, I do not understand this, but I will not let this define my worth. My child, hear the tenderness in my voice. You are not the first to walk through this kind of refining. You are not the first to be misunderstood. You are not the first to be delayed. You are not the first to question your place. And you are not the first to be tempted to believe that what you feel is the whole truth. But I am telling you the rest of the story has already been written in my presence. When I allowed Job to be tested, I was not abandoning him. When I allowed Joseph to be betrayed, I was not losing sight of him. When I allowed David to wait, I was not forgetting him. When I allowed Moses to feel inadequate, I was not mocking him. I was shaping a testimony that would reveal my glory through human weakness. And I am doing the same in your life. That means your pain is not pointless. Your waiting is not wasted. Your tears are not ignored. Your setbacks are not the end. And the confession you are about to receive, the truth that is coming into the light about your self-worth, will be part of the way I untangle the knots that have kept your heart in fear. You have been carrying stories about yourself that were never meant to stay. Stories that said you are hard to love. Stories that said you always get left. Stories that said you must prove your value. Stories that said if you were truly worthy, people would have treated you better. But those stories are breaking now. I am shining my light on them. And once truth enters, lies lose their strength. Beloved, I need you to understand this. Not every person who mishandled you was intentionally cruel, but every wound still matters to me. Sometimes people wound out of immaturity. Sometimes out of fear. Sometimes out of envy. Sometimes out of their own broken trust history. Sometimes out of selfishness. Sometimes because they were too weak to honor what they recognized in you. But no matter the reason, I am not leaving you trapped inside the consequences of what they could not carry properly. So when the confession comes, let it be a doorway, not a chain. Let it help you see, not make you doubt. Let it confirm what I have been revealing, not replace what I have already said. The truth is coming, beloved. It is coming through conversations. It is coming through conviction. It is coming through exposure. It is coming through the way you suddenly begin to see people more clearly. It is coming through the way your spirit no longer cooperates with lies it used to tolerate. And while that truth unfolds, I am also teaching you how to stand in your own worth without needing everyone to agree. Because that is where freedom begins. When you know who you are in me, you stop making peace with what dishonors that identity. You stop entertaining voices that speak over you in ways I never did. You stop thinking you have to accept less simply because less was familiar. Beloved, there is more in you than the pain has allowed you to remember. There is strength in you that has not yet fully risen. There is clarity in you that will soon become undeniable. There is a confidence in you that has been buried under years of trying to survive. And I am calling it forth now. Not the pride that hides fear, not the performance that hides insecurity. I am calling forth the holy confidence of a child who knows their father is faithful. I am with you in this. I am for you in this. I am not bringing you this far to leave you where confusion began. I did this for Job. I did this for Joseph. I did this for David. I did this for Moses. And I am doing it for you. Beloved, I know what it feels like to sit in a quiet house after the phone has stopped ringing and wonder why everything suddenly feels so empty. I know what it feels like to stare at a bank account and feel your chest tighten because the numbers do not line up with the needs in front of you. I know what it feels like to lose a job you thought was secure and suddenly realize how fragile the world really is. I know what it feels like when the title, the paycheck, the routine, the place you belonged, all of it gets taken away, and with it comes that awful question, who am I now? I know. I know what it feels like to be sitting across from paperwork that changes your future, divorce papers, medical reports, legal notices, the kind of documents that do not just inform you, but fracture the life you thought you were living. I know the shock that comes when trust is broken in a single sentence. I know the kind of betrayal that makes your hands shake because the person you depended on became the person who wounded you. I know the way your mind keeps running at night, even when your body is exhausted, because your heart refuses to shut off long enough to rest. I know about the 2 a.m. ceiling stare. I know about the tears that come in the dark because you do not have the energy to explain them during the day. My child, I know about the chair at the kitchen table where you sat after everyone else went to bed and tried to decide whether you could carry another month, another diagnosis, another disappointment, another loss. I know about the quiet sound of a home that used to be full of laughter but now feels like echo. I know about the phone that you check again and again, hoping for a message that would make the ache lessen. I know about the silent prayers you whispered while brushing your teeth, while driving to work, while sitting in church, while holding yourself together just enough to get through the next hour. Beloved, if you have felt abandoned by life itself, I want you to hear me. You have not been abandoned by me. There are seasons when the pressure becomes so personal that you begin to think the pain is evidence against my love. But no, my child, pain is not proof that I have left. Pain is often proof that something is being exposed, removed, or transformed. The enemy wants you to interpret the shaking as collapse, but I am asking you to see it as clearing. He wants you to think the unraveling means the end. I am telling you it means I am separating truth from illusion so I can rebuild your life on something solid. But there is something I need you to know before I say anything else. The delay was never neglect. It was preparation. Beloved, I need you to sit with that for a moment. The delay was never neglect. It was preparation. What you thought was a closed season where nothing was happening, I was working in layers you could not see. I was strengthening places that would have shattered under a premature answer. I was protecting you from blessings that would have burdened you if your inner life had not been ready to carry them. I was arranging details. I was removing what could not come with you. I was slowing what your fear wanted to rush. I was teaching your soul to depend on me instead of on visible movement. I know how painful delay feels when you are already hurting. I know that when you are in the middle of job loss, breakup, illness, family conflict, or financial pressure, the last thing you want to hear is, wait. But beloved, what if I told you that every pause was making you more capable than you realize? What if I told you the silence was not empty, but full of formation? What if I told you that while you were asking, why is this taking so long? I was answering, because I love you too much to give you a shallow blessing? Some of you have had to learn this the hard way. You wanted the door to open before the lesson finished. You wanted the answer before the character was settled. You wanted the relationship before the discernment was mature. You wanted relief before your foundation was strong enough to stand in peace. And I said no, not because I am withholding goodness, but because I am guarding your future. Listen to me, my beloved child. A delay is not always a denial. Sometimes it is a divine shield. Sometimes it is evidence that I am dealing with things underneath the surface. Sometimes it is the space where hidden motives are uncovered, where pride is humbled, where fear is uprooted, where dependence is purified, where your heart learns to wait without panicking. Preparation can feel a lot like inactivity when you are the one waiting. But in heaven, nothing is wasted. Think of the farmer, beloved. He does not call the soil unproductive because the seed is hidden for a while. He knows something is happening where eyes cannot see. He knows roots are forming before fruit appears. He knows there is a season beneath the surface that matters as much as the harvest above it. That is what I have been doing with you. Root work, hidden work, deep work, the kind of work that no applause can accelerate and no fear can replace. And I know some of you are saying, Lord, I wish I had known that sooner. I know, but if you had known sooner, you might have tried to force what I was still forming. You might have reached for certainty before you had learned trust. You might have moved in fear and missed the peace I was trying to build in you. Beloved, I did not hide the process from you to punish you. I hid it because your heart needed protection while it was becoming strong enough to carry the weight of the next season. There are people listening right now who can testify that what looked like the worst timing turned out to be mercy in disguise. The job loss that terrified you opened the way to a healthier assignment. The relationship that broke your heart kept you from a future of deeper compromise. The diagnosis that shocked you made you slow down and finally seek the support you needed. The betrayal that burned you taught you discernment you had never been forced to develop before. The sleepless nights that felt endless became the hours where I began speaking to you in ways you could finally hear. Beloved, I was there in the middle of all of it. When the doctor's words left you stunned, I was there. When the recruiter stopped calling, I was there. When the divorce became real, I was there. When the friendship turned cold, I was there. When your body felt weak and your heart felt heavier than your frame could hold, I was there. When you drove with tears in your eyes and wondered whether you were failing at life, I was there. When you kept asking, "What am I missing?" I was there, gently preparing to show you what you could not yet see. Sometimes the greatest shift begins not with movement, but with revelation. And revelation often starts by exposing the lie that delay means disfavor. No, beloved. Delay can mean preparation. Delay can mean protection. Delay can mean refinement. Delay can mean I am aligning you with something that requires more of you than your present pain would allow. Delay can mean I am teaching you to hear me so clearly that when I finally move, you will know it was me and not your own striving. Delay can mean I am saving your heart from something too small for your destiny. I know that some of you have been afraid your time has passed, afraid the window closed, afraid you are too old, too wounded, too behind, too tired, too broken. But listen carefully, my child. I am not bound by the clocks that frighten you. I am not stressed by the timelines that keep you up at night. I am not confused by the season you are in. The same God who prepared Joseph in prison, David in obscurity, Moses in the wilderness, and Job in affliction is still preparing people now. Your circumstances do not surprise me. Your tears do not inconvenience me. Your questions do not weaken me. What has felt like delay was not me abandoning you. It was me preparing you for a weight of blessing, truth, responsibility, and influence that your old self would not have been able to carry safely. I was not only preparing the promise, I was preparing the vessel. Beloved, that means I was working on your mind, your discernment, your endurance, your capacity to receive, your ability to say no without guilt, your ability to say yes without fear, your ability to distinguish between what is merely attractive and what is truly appointed. I was teaching you how to stand when others misunderstand you. I was teaching you how to be still when your emotions want to sprint. I was teaching you how to wait without losing yourself. I was teaching you how to be led by peace instead of pressure. And yes, this can feel lonely. Growth often does. There are parts of preparation that happen in isolation because some lessons cannot be learned in a crowd. But I have never once used solitude to abandon you. I use it to speak plainly, to clear the noise, to strip away counterfeit voices, to reveal what is truly in your heart, to let you hear the sound of my voice above the chaos. Beloved, some of the tears you have cried over delayed answers have actually been part of your breakthrough. They were not wasted tears. They were release. They were cleansing. They were the water that softened the ground before the seed could take root. You may have thought you were falling apart, but I was actually making room for new life. And now I want to pull you into a deeper place of understanding, because this is where the turning point becomes clear. You thought the delay meant I had forgotten a promise. But in reality, I was preparing you in hidden ways that were more important than the outward result you were so desperate to see. I was teaching you to recognize the difference between what satisfies your fear and what aligns with your destiny. I was showing you that not every urgent opening is a good one. I was teaching you that some fast answers are traps and some slow answers are gifts. Beloved, you are not being punished by waiting. You are being positioned by waiting. There is a holy order to what I do, a timing that protects, a timing that matures, a timing that reveals, a timing that heals. And when it is time, I do not need your anxiety to help me. I do not need your striving. I do not need your panic. I simply need your trust, because trust keeps your heart open enough to receive what fear would have made you reject. Now let me speak to the ones who feel behind because others around them seem to be moving faster. You see someone else get the job, the house, the healing, the relationship, the platform, the opportunity. You see them posting, celebrating, testifying, and something inside of you aches because you are still waiting. Beloved, comparison is one of the quietest thieves of peace. It makes you think my hand on someone else means my hand is absent from your life. That is not true. I am not limited in blessing. I am not rationing grace because I am too busy with another child. I am at work in your story too. When one door opens for another person, it does not mean yours has been forgotten. It may mean theirs was ready in a different way, and yours is being fitted to your life with greater care. You do not know what they had to survive. You do not know what they had to surrender. You do not know what hidden pain I am healing in their life. And they do not know what hidden protection I am giving you. But I know. I know every detail. I know what can come now and what must wait. I know what will bless you and what would burden you. I know what you need before you know how to ask for it. Beloved, I am asking you to trust that my preparation is not sloppy. It is exact. It is intentional. It is wise. Even the parts that hurt are serving a purpose under my hand. I know some of you are weary to the bone. You have been carrying spiritual weight, emotional weight, financial weight, relational weight, and no one can see how heavy it is because you have become so good at looking composed. But I see the tremble beneath the composure. I see the exhaustion behind the productivity. I see the tears that rise after everyone else has gone to sleep. I see the ache in the body that has been holding stress for months, maybe years. I see the way your shoulders tense when you hear bad news. I see the way your stomach knots when another unknown comes up. I see the way you keep moving because stopping would mean feeling everything you have been surviving. Come closer, my child. You do not have to be strong by yourself in this moment. Let me hold what you have been carrying. There are hearts listening who need to hear that the season of delay was also a season of refinement in your relationships. The waiting showed you who was real and who was performing. The pressure revealed who could handle truth and who only enjoyed your presence when it cost them nothing. The silence exposed who knew how to remain faithful and who vanished when life got hard. That revelation may have hurt, but it saved you from building your life on unstable ground. Beloved, when people show you who they are through repeated inconsistency, believe them. Do not keep romanticizing what I am exposing. Do not keep calling it loyalty when it is convenience. Do not keep calling it love when it is control. Do not keep calling it friendship when it only shows up to benefit from your strength. I am refining your discernment because your next season requires clarity. And this is why the confession about your self-worth matters so deeply. Because when the truth about what others believed, assumed, or hid finally comes into the light, you will have a decision. Will you keep measuring yourself by old reactions? Or will you let my truth define you? Will you let the confession become another wound? Or will you let it become the moment you realize, I was never too little for love. I was simply in the wrong place with the wrong expectations. That realization is coming, beloved, and it will change how you walk. The delay was preparation. Every closed road was an invitation to depend on me more deeply. Every unanswered prayer was shaping your hunger. Every sleepless night was uncovering what your heart still believed about safety. Every financial strain was exposing what you still feared losing. Every betrayal was revealing what you had been trusting too much in people for. Every disappointment was pointing you back to the only foundation that cannot fail. And now, because I love you, I am going to make the next part plain. Some of what you called delay was actually divine arrangement. The timing had to be stretched because there were pieces moving in the unseen realm. People had to be moved out of the way. Hidden motives had to be exposed. Your own inner patterns had to be confronted. Your faith had to be stripped of dependency on visible reassurance. Your heart had to learn the sound of my voice without needing constant proof. Beloved, you are not behind. You are being prepared. I know that may not feel exciting the way a quick answer does. It may not soothe fear the same way instant relief would. But it is better, much better, because what I am preparing in you will last longer than what you wanted in haste. It will hold weight. It will survive scrutiny. It will bear fruit in the right season. It will not collapse because it was built on panic. So when you look back, you will see it. You will see how the delay saved you. You will see how the waiting developed you. You will see how the closed doors guided you. You will see how the silence made room for my voice. You will see how I was not absent, just active in ways that required trust before evidence. Beloved, I am still with you. I am still speaking. I am still preparing. And now that you have begun to understand why the trap was able to catch your heart in the first place, I am ready to show you what happens next when fear loses its authority and truth begins to lead. Beloved, I need you to lean in now, because there is something else I must say before we go any farther. What is about to happen in your life will not just confirm your worth, it will confront the hands that tried to diminish it. And when that confrontation begins, you will need a steady heart, because not everything that comes into the light will come gently. Some truths will arrive like a healing wound. They will sting for a moment, but they will free you for a lifetime. That is why I am speaking to you so carefully. I am not preparing you for spectacle. I am preparing you for peace. You have been asking me in the silence, Jesus, what do I do now? How do I stand when I have been misunderstood for so long? How do I keep trusting when trust has been bruised? How do I keep believing when my own life has become a place of questions? And I am answering you now with a promise that cannot be shaken. I will give wisdom generously to the one who asks. As it is written, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given. Beloved, you are not going into this next stretch blind. I am giving you wisdom for conversations, wisdom for choices, wisdom for timing, wisdom for discernment, wisdom to know what is mine and what is merely emotional noise. I will not let confusion be your companion forever. I am the God who brings order out of chaos. I am the one who says, let there be light, and the darkness has no choice but to yield. That same light is touching the hidden corners of your life now. What was buried is surfacing. What was misread is being corrected. What was falsely assigned to you is being removed. What was stolen in the night is being tracked by my hand. For the thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that you may have life, and have it more abundantly. Not barely, not scraping by, abundantly. My child, I know how many times you have whispered, I just want to feel safe. So hear me clearly. I am your refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Not a distant help, not a delayed help, a very present help. When the pressure rises, I am present. When the phone stays silent, I am present. When the doctor calls, I am present. When the bank account looks thin, I am present. When the betrayal memory returns out of nowhere, I am present. When your body aches with stress and your mind keeps circling the same fear, I am present. I have not moved away from your suffering. I am standing in it with you, and I will bring you through. I am promising you something else too, beloved. I will protect what I have entrusted to you. The psalmist said, the Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. That means I am not only guarding the big moments. I am guarding the small ones too. I am watching over your goings out and your coming in. I am guarding the path you take, the conversations you enter, the people you trust, the doors you consider, the attachments you almost make, the decisions you are still praying over. Nothing escapes my sight. Not the threat you can name, and not the one you cannot. And because I am keeping you, you do not have to live in constant alarm anymore. I know fear has trained you to expect loss before it happens, but I am breaking that expectation. I am teaching your nervous system what peace feels like again. I am teaching your spirit to rest under the shadow of my wings. I am teaching you that vigilance and anxiety are not the same thing. You can be discerning without being panicked. You can be careful without living clenched. You can be wise without living afraid. Beloved, I am also promising you vindication in ways you could not have orchestrated for yourself. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay, not because I delight in harm, but because I will not let injustice remain forever unaddressed. Some of you have been overlooked, falsely judged, discounted, spoken against, or quietly replaced. I know. I saw it all. And while I may not expose everything in the same way you expected, I am not ignoring it. I am dealing with it in truth and righteousness. I am the one who brings down proud systems and lifts up the humble. I am the one who sees behind smiles and beneath performances. I am the one who can turn a hidden accusation into a public correction, if that is what mercy requires. Still, beloved, I need your heart to stay clean. Do not let the pain make you bitter. Do not let the wound make you cruel. Do not let the exposure make you self-protective in a way that closes you off from love. I am not only defending you, I am refining you. I am teaching you how to carry authority without losing tenderness. I am teaching you how to recognize evil without becoming hardened by it. I am teaching you how to love wisely, how to forgive without pretending, how to release what I tell you to release, how to hold boundaries without guilt, how to stay soft in my hands and strong in my truth. I want to speak a promise over your finances right now, because I know how deeply that pressure has touched your sense of worth. You have wondered if not having enough somehow means you are failing. It does not. It means you are human, in a fallen world, and you need a shepherd. And I am that shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That is not a poem. That is a kingdom reality. I am able to lead you into provision you did not see coming. I am able to open doors no employer could create on their own. I am able to supply all your needs according to my riches and glory by Christ Jesus. I am able to feed you in famine, guide you in uncertainty, and teach your hands to prosper in the ways I have assigned. Beloved, if your trust has been damaged by financial loss, I am healing that too. I am teaching you that provision is not merely money. Provision is wisdom. Provision is timing. Provision is a clear mind. Provision is peace that protects your decisions. Provision is the right connection. Provision is the strength to endure until the right thing arrives. I am your portion. I am enough. And because I am enough, you will not be swallowed by lack. Now listen carefully, because this is a promise for the brokenhearted. I am near to those who have a broken heart, and I save the crushed in spirit. You do not have to fake healing for me. You do not have to smile through pain, so I will keep loving you. I already love you. I already know. I already understand what the tears mean. I already know the difference between your resilience and your exhaustion. I already know the difference between the part of you that has hope and the part that is afraid to hope too much. I am gathering all of that, and I am healing it with patience. There are wounds I am touching now that cannot be rushed. Trust wounds, identity wounds, betrayal wounds, shame wounds, comparison wounds, abandonment wounds, performance wounds. Some of you were taught, directly or indirectly, that you must be impressive to be safe, useful to be loved, quiet to be accepted, strong to be respected, and invisible to be tolerated. But I am not asking you to perform. I am inviting you to abide. Abide in me, and you will bear much fruit. Not frantic fruit, not fearful fruit, fruit that remains. Beloved, the reason I keep reminding you of Scripture is because my promises are not based on your feelings. They stand when the emotional weather changes. When you feel strong, I am faithful. When you feel weak, I am faithful. When you understand, I am faithful. When you do not understand, I am faithful. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away. That means the promise over your life is not fragile. It is not floating around hoping to survive your hardest day. It is anchored in my own nature. So let me say it plainly. I will complete what I began in you. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. I will not leave your story half-built. I will not let the enemy edit your ending. I will not let the shame of your past become the prophecy of your future. I will finish what I started. I will finish the healing. I will finish the refining. I will finish the restoration. I will finish the calling. I will finish the work of making you ready for what I prepared for you before you even knew to ask. And yes, beloved, I am also promising you revelation. Hidden things are being exposed because you need to know the truth. There are motives that have been disguised, and they are losing their cover. There are dynamics you tolerated because you did not see them clearly, and now you will. There are patterns in your own thinking that have kept you tethered to pain, and now I am breaking them. There are conversations that will bring clarity. There are moments that will make the whole story make sense. There are pieces that once felt random, but will soon fit together like they were always meant to. When I reveal, I do not do it to confuse. I do it to free. Beloved, I can feel your heart asking, will the people who hurt me ever admit the truth? Some will not. But the greater question is this: will you allow the truth I reveal to free you even if they never become what you hoped? That is where your breakthrough lives. Not in waiting for every human apology, but in letting my truth become larger than their refusal. Some confessions will come to your door. Others will come to your spirit. In both, I am working. And here is another promise I want you to hold close. I will give you peace that passes understanding. Not peace because every circumstance is fixed. Peace because I am with you in the middle of what is not yet fixed. Peace that guards your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Peace that keeps you from spiraling. Peace that silences the inner alarm long enough for you to hear my voice. Peace that lets you sleep again. Peace that lets you breathe again. Peace that helps you make one faithful next step instead of living overwhelmed by the whole staircase. Beloved, I know how rare rest has felt. I know how your mind has turned even quiet moments into battlegrounds. But I am inviting you into a different kind of rest now. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. That rest is not escape. It is alignment. It is the place where your heart stops fighting for control and starts trusting my leadership. My child, I am also promising courage where fear has been ruling. Fear has told you to shrink, delay, hide, second-guess, over-explain, or settle. But I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That sound mind is coming back. The scattered thoughts are being gathered. The panic response is being quieted. The dread is losing its authority. The power to stand calmly in truth is rising in you again. You will not always feel courageous before you move, but I will give you courage as you obey. And obedience, beloved, will open what fear kept shut. Some of you have been waiting for a grand sign when I have already spoken plainly. Take the next step. Make the call. Tell the truth. Apply again. Rest. Leave. Stay. Forgive. Wait. Trust me. The instruction is not always dramatic, but it is always sacred. When you follow my lead, you will discover that what looked impossible was often just unattempted in peace. Now I want to make something personal for you, because I know you have wondered whether the years of feeling insignificant have made your life somehow smaller in my eyes. They have not. The very hairs on your head are all numbered. That means you are not an afterthought. You are not one face in a crowd. You are known intimately. When people missed your pain, I did not. When people misjudged your value, I did not. When people assumed you would never amount to much, I did not. I saw the end from the beginning. I knew the parts of you that were still forming. I knew the tears you would cry. I knew the victories you would celebrate. I knew the ministry you would carry. I knew the wisdom you would someday speak to others who feel exactly as you feel now. Beloved, I have not only been preparing you for what you are about to receive. I have been preparing others through your testimony. Your healing will become a doorway for someone else. Your restored self-worth will become a mirror for another weary heart. Your courage will give language to someone else's prayers. Your obedience will break generational fear in a family line. Your peace will preach louder than the pain that tried to silence you. That is why the enemy fought your identity so fiercely. He knew that if you ever truly believed what I say about you, you would stop partnering with the lies and start walking like one beloved by the King. There is another turn coming, though, and I need you to stay with me for it. Because the next wave of truth will not only show you what was done to you, it will show you what I was doing through it. And when you see that, beloved, your grief will not disappear, but it will begin to transform. You will realize the hand that held you in the darkest valley was the same hand that was leading you out. You will understand that some losses were actually removals. Some endings were beginnings in disguise. Some heartbreaks were reroutes. Some humiliations were relocations. Some delays were shields. Some doors stayed closed because the room beyond them could not hold the version of you I was building. Do you see it now? Do you feel the shift? What felt like punishment was often preparation. What felt like absence was often hidden arrangement. What felt like waste was often a seed. I have been in every part of it, and I am not done yet. So let me pray over you now, my beloved child. Father, I come before you with this precious one who has carried too much for too long. You see the lonely nights. You see the financial strain. You see the betrayal that still aches. You see the job loss, the divorce, the diagnosis, the family tension, the invisible grief, the private shame, the fear of not being enough. You see the places where their heart was bruised by what others said, what others did, what others withheld, and what others never apologized for. You see how long they have tried to hold it together. You see the silent tears. You see the anxiety that rises in the chest at night. You see the way they keep asking if they are truly loved, truly chosen, truly safe. Father, I ask you now to flood their heart with wisdom. Give them discernment that is sharper than fear, clearer than emotion, and steadier than pressure. Let them know what is from you and what is not. Let them recognize open doors that are actually traps and closed doors that are actually mercy. Teach them to hear your voice above every counterfeit voice. Teach them to distinguish conviction from condemnation. Teach them to discern people by fruit and not by charm. Teach them to move in step with the Holy Spirit, not in reaction to panic. Father, I ask you for protection over their mind. Guard the doorway of thought. Interrupt every cycle of self-hatred, comparison, and catastrophic thinking. Break the power of the lie that says their worth is determined by who stays, who leaves, who notices, or who approves. Replace it with the living truth that they are yours, bought at a price, sealed by the Spirit, and held in covenant love. Let the accuser be silenced. Let every condemning whisper lose its grip. Let peace rule where panic has been living. Let clarity settle where confusion has been circling. Father, I ask you for protection over their body. Where stress has sat in their muscles, release relief. Where sleeplessness has worn them down, bring rest. Where fear has tightened their breathing, bring ease. Where grief has settled into exhaustion, bring strength. Where the body has been carrying the weight of invisible battles, let healing begin. Restore what fatigue has drained. Rebuild what pressure has damaged. Let them feel the quiet mercy of your presence, even in their physical body. Father, I ask you for protection over their steps. Keep them from harmful relationships, from rushed decisions, from desperate compromises, from manipulation, from spiritual confusion, from any path that would pull them out of your will. Put a hedge around their future. Guard their coming and going. Keep them from the ambushes they cannot see. Expose anything hidden that would harm them. Stop what needs to stop. Redirect what needs to be redirected. Close what must close. Open what must open. Establish their footing in your timing. Father, I ask you for courage. Not the loud kind that performs strength, but the steady kind that obeys when the heart trembles. Give them courage to tell the truth. Courage to set boundaries. Courage to receive love without suspicion. Courage to walk away from what diminishes them. Courage to wait without striving. Courage to start again if you ask it. Courage to rest when they feel pressure to produce. Courage to believe that their life is still unfolding under your hand. Courage to let go of the approval of people who never had the authority to define them. Father, I ask you for breakthrough. Breakthrough in their mind. Breakthrough in their finances. Breakthrough in their relationships. Breakthrough in their work. Breakthrough in their health. Breakthrough in the hidden places where shame has been controlling their choices. Breakthrough in the area of self-worth that has been assaulted for so long. Break every agreement with unworthiness. Break every chain of rejection. Break every spirit of accusation. Break every pattern of abandonment. Break every cycle of overgiving to those who drain them. Break the fear that says nothing will ever change. Let breakthrough come not only as an event, but as a way of living. Father, I ask you to restore what betrayal damaged. Where trust was broken, bring healing, and if trust must be rebuilt slowly, teach them patience and discernment. Where divorce has left a wound, bring comfort and identity that does not depend on a human hand. Where job loss shook their security, remind them that you are their provider, not any employer, not any market, not any economy. Where illness made them afraid, let hope rise again. Where family wounds have echoed for years, bring a new story of peace. Where loneliness has tempted them to settle, bring holy contentment and the right connection in your time. Father, protect them from bitterness. Protect them from cynicism. Protect them from the temptation to become cold because they have been hurt. Let their heart remain tender without becoming vulnerable to deception. Teach them the balance of grace and wisdom. Teach them how to forgive without returning to harm. Teach them how to love without losing themselves. Teach them how to remain open to you even when people have not been trustworthy. Father, I ask you to make your love undeniable in their spirit. Let them feel, deeply and personally, that they are not forgotten. Let them know beyond doubt that they are seen. Let them wake up with a quieter mind. Let them move through the day with less fear. Let them sense your nearness when the room feels empty. Let them hear your comfort when old memories rise. Let them know that every tear has been counted and every sign noticed. Let them understand that you are not displeased with their weakness, but compassionate toward it. Father, I ask you to anchor them in truth. When their emotions rise and fall, keep them fixed on your word. When people's opinions change, keep them grounded in your voice. When the future feels uncertain, keep them steady in your promises. When the confession comes, when the exposure comes, when the turning point comes, let them respond from peace and not from fear. Let them know what to accept and what to release. Let them not be ruled by shock, but led by the Spirit. Father, I ask you to bless the work of their hands. Open doors of provision. Grant favor where they have been overlooked. Provide what they need in unexpected ways. Teach them stewardship, peace, generosity, and confidence. Let lack lose its grip. Let panic over money be replaced by a settled trust that you are truly enough. Give them daily bread and enough grace for each day's assignment. Father, I ask you to heal their self-image. Rewrite the inner script that says they are too much, too late, too broken, too needy, too ordinary, too damaged. Replace it with the truth that they are chosen, loved, redeemed, called, and kept. Let them see themselves through the lens of redemption. Let them stop agreeing with the voices that devalued them. Let them rise in holy dignity. Let them walk with quiet authority. Let them carry the beauty of a soul that knows it has been held by you. Father, I ask you to give them restful sleep. Let the night no longer be a battlefield. Let their bed become a place of peace. Let their dreams be softened by your presence. Let intrusive thoughts lose their grip as your word covers their mind. Let the anxious rehearsals of the day end in surrender. Let them wake refreshed, not because life is easy, but because you are faithful. And now, Father, I speak blessing over this beloved one. May they know the love of Christ in a way that uproots every old lie. May they have the courage of David, the endurance of Job, the favor of Joseph, and the surrendered trust of Moses. May they learn to stand in the identity you gave them before the world tried to rename them. May they discover that what felt like a delay was, all along, your preparation. May they see that you were never absent, never careless, never late. May they step into the next season with wisdom, peace, and unshakable hope. Beloved, I leave you with this. The confession is coming, the truth is rising, and what was meant to diminish you will become the very place where I show you how precious you are to me. Walk in peace. Share this blessing. And remember, you are mine.